Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Labs. In this video, we are going to talk about how to automate REST APIs with Python. You must have used Postman, you must have used Rest Assured also, but have you ever tried the REST API automation with Python language? Yes, we can do that with the request module. It's pretty simple. It's a long pending topic from my side. So today we are going to call some of the APIs. We are not going to design the framework, but we will see at least that how can we execute get call, post call, delete, and put call. So I'm going to take this particular example, gores.co.in, and here four APIs are available: get, call, post, put, and delete. You can use patch also to update the user. And to call these APIs, we have to pass, let's say for the post call, we have to pass a payload. It will give you the response. We can validate that also. The status code also, we can validate that. And then whenever you are going to call these APIs, you have to make sure that you have to use your API token, which is generated over here. So you can just log into this application and then you will get a token here. I'll give you one basic example. If you go to the Postman and I'll just go to my header and then I have to add one authorization. And this is my authentication token. I just copy this and then paste it here. So I'll start getting the response here like this. If I really want to create a specific user, you can create a specific user with the post call also. So let's create a simple a post here and I'll go to body, raw, and then a JSON. I don't want to use ID. So let's see, I just want to use a new email ID that Khan Lakshmi 123, something like this. And then the payload will remain, the URL will remain same. So let's copy this URL from here to here and then go to the post call and then come back here like this. And then header information, we have to add the same authorization. For example, we are going to add, and the authorization is this one. Okay, so let me just add this authorization. And then once we send the request, okay, saying authentication failed because we have to send the request with the bearer token. So let me just write a bearer token along with also. And then I don't want to save it. When you send this, yes, the data got created here. Same thing with the get call. Generally with the get call, authentication is not required because we are just fetching the information. But for the safer side, I'm adding the bearer token here as well. When I send it, I'm getting the information that I recently created here that you can see Khan Lakshmi 123 here. So how to automate this thing with Python? So we are going to use PyCharm for the editing, for the editor point of view, and we are going to create a new project here. So let's create a new project. The project name I'm going to write, let's say this is my API request project, and click on create. I'm going to use this window only, let's see. And then one basic project will be created here that I'm already installed the Python 3.9 already available in my system. Make sure that, okay, Python is already there in your system. After that, what we have to do, we have to go to the terminal. And then in the terminal, we have to install one more package. The package name is pip install, and the package name is, or you can say the module name is request module. We have to use it here. So simple write pip install request. If it is already installed, it will say that, okay, yeah, it's already installed. Otherwise, it will install it again in your system if it is not available. Now, with the help of this request module in Python, I can just simply create the APIs. I mean, I can call the APIs, I can get the response, and then I can validate that as well. So I can call any kind of APIs like get, post, put, and delete. So let's try to do this. So this is the folder. So I'm going to do one thing in this particular project folder. I'm going to create one, let's create one simple directory first. So here I'm going to write, let's see, this is my, the Go REST API. Okay. And in this particular directory, I'm going to create a new Python file. So let's create one Python file here. And the file name is, let's see, this is my, whatever the Python file name is, let's say request API. So this request API.py will be created here. And now we have to start writing the code. In Python, it's very simple, super simple, and very simple syntax. So I'm going to show you all the four examples later on. If you really want to convert that into a framework, and everything, you can do it later separately with that. So the first thing we have to write that we have to import one module. That module name is request module that we just downloaded with the help of pip. After that, we need a couple of other modules also. Let's see, we really want to generate some random email IDs or some random data. So I'm going to use some import random also. I'm going to import one more thing. Let's say I really want to use some JSON parsing. So I'm going to use import JSON as well. And I'm going to use string as well, that as some string manipulations. I'm going to define my base URL here. So let's see, this is the uh, base URL. So base URL, I'm going to write base underscore URL, which is equal to, so the base URL is this one, up to co.in. So I'm just going to copy up to co.in from here to here. Okay, so this will be my base URL. Okay. Now I have to add my authentication token also. So here, this is for my auth token. So I'm going to create one auth, let's see, underscore a token, which is equal to what? Which is equal to the bearer and whatever token that we were using it here that we created, and paste it here. So this is the token is already there. Now we are going to hit the first request that is called a get request. Okay. Just like get request, we are going to call post request also. Okay. Post request. Then after that, we will call the put request. Then after that, we will use delete to delete the specific user. So we are going to use a delete request also here. Okay. So we will create 4 methods, and after creating those 4 methods, we will start calling those methods as well. So get request means simple, give me all the users or a specific user. If you write, let's say, a specific user is equal to user ID that you have created, one forward this, the user ID, you will get the specific user, or you can call the full user, the list of users also, you will get it here. A huge JSON, you are getting it here. So we are going to call this one, and this is the endpoint URL that I'm having it after the base URL. So first of all, that I'm going to create a method. So let's create a method. Let's see, get underscore request method. So this get underscore request method is doing what? The first thing I'm going to define what is the endpoint URL, overall URL. So overall URL will be the base URL plus, and then one forward slash, and whatever the endpoint URL that we have already copied along with the forward slash, because we are not using any forward slash here. So base URL will be appended here like this. Okay, so this is the first method that we are going to create, and under that we have created one URL also. Now as a header, we have to pass the authentication token as well. So how to pass the headers? So I'm going to create one variable. Let's see, headers is equal to what? So I'm going to write this request dot, or instead of request dot, we can just create key and value pair format dictionary here. Let's see, for example, that the authorization, the same header name authorization, and the colon, and whatever the authentication token that you are using it here, just simple use it here. So this is my header information. After that, we are going to use this particular request module to call the APIs. The moment I write request dot, then see there are a number of methods are there: get call, head call, post call, right? And then if you write the put call also is there, post is also there, a delete is also there. So we are going to use a get call, and it's saying that you have to give me the URL, and if any kind of parameters that you are having it, we can give it over here. So do we have the URL? Yes. So same URL that I'm going to use it here, that's the same URL. And then after that, I'm going to put a comma, and then do you have any headers? So yes, we have the headers is equal to this particular header variables that we have variable that we have created. We are going to use this particular thing. Okay, so use this one like this. Then the get method will return what? The get method will actually return, if you really mouse over, it's saying that it is actually going to call this particular get API, send the request, and then it will return the response object. So I'm going to store inside the response object, for example, simple response is equal to this. Now, after calling this get API, the entire response is available here. In this response, what we have, the entire JSON body, 200 OK status code, and header, and all the information about the response. I'm having it here. Now it's up to you that what exactly you want to achieve from that. So first of all, that the moment I get my response, I immediately put one assertion. So I'm going to write assert the response dot what? The response dot status code, it should be equal to 200. That is the first assertion that I want to write here. Then what I'll do from this particular response, I really want to fetch the JSON. So I'm going to write a JSON over here. And this particular JSON will return what? The equivalent, the JSON body, right? The whatever the response that we are getting, we really want to fetch this entire JSON. So I'm going to store in, let's see, JSON underscore data, which is equal to this. And then after that, I just want to print this. So let's see, print that I'm writing that JSON response of body, which is what? Which is whatever the JSON data that we have captured. Okay. So let's see, this is really working or not. So how to call this? So this is a simple method that we have created. I'm going to call this particular method from here like this. Okay. So let's simply call it. So this is my calling section. So call request method, get request method. Let's run it. So right click and run this entire file. Let's see, are we really getting the data or not? Awesome. So we are getting the data. It's super quick. You can see that ID is equal to this, name is equal to this, and then the huge JSON file, we are getting it here. But this is not the formatted JSON. And if you see this, that it's coming in the one line. But I want the response like this so that I can read it properly. It means I really want a pretty response. So for that, what we can do, whatever the JSON data that we have used here, we can convert this particular JSON data into a pretty response. So what we can do, we can use this particular JSON module that we have declared here in the import section. Here I'm going to write the JSON dot what. So there is one method, dumps method is there. So let me write the dumps, and then I'm passing JSON data, and then I'm writing indentation should be equal to 4. And then the whatever dump that we are getting after creating the JSON, I'm going to store in the actual JSON string here. So let's see, for example, JSON str, which is equal to this. And now I'm going to print this particular JSON str over here to get the pretty print. So let's run it again. Nice. So now we are getting a proper JSON response in the console. Okay, great. If you really want to execute this thing from your command line, that also we can do it. So let's try that as well. So I'll open this particular project, and I'll just copy this. Let's copy the path over here. Let's copy the full path, and I'll open my terminal, and then I'll go to that particular directory over here. So I'll go to this Go REST API directory where I can see this file is available. Okay. Now I'm going to execute this file with Python 3, and then I'm going to write that request api.py, and let's see, is it really working or not? Nice. So here also we are getting the same response, and it's saying that, okay, yeah, whatever the JSON response body, and then perfect. So this is absolutely working fine here. Now, so this method is ready. This is simple get call, and then with the help of get call, we are getting the response. If you really want to print some specific information, that you can print it. So let's say I'm writing the print. This is like get URL, just for for the logging purpose. We can just use it here. The URL will be printed, and the response also we are printing it here. Now, just like get call, now we are going to create a post call also. So post call, how exactly we did that? This is my post call where I was just calling this API, passing this particular payload, because in the post, the payload, the request JSON body is important. Then only we will get the data over here. So how will you do the same thing in the Python? So let's do this. So I'm going to create another method here. Let's see, the method name is post underscore request method. Okay, let's see, this is the method name. And under this particular method, the URL append with the base URL, I'm going to print it. Header also will remain same. So from here to here, I'm just going to copy and then paste it here. This is not the get URL. This is a post URL. And then authentication token also that we have passed here. Then how will you supply the data? So in order to supply the data, it means the request payload, we just need to write a data which is equal to what? The data which is equal to the JSON body. So I'll just copy, let's see, this JSON body from here to here, and paste it here. And then let's see, this time I don't want to use this name. I want to use, let's see, Naveen Automation. And here I'm going to use my email ID. whatever, some dummy email ID, I'm going to use it here. Let's see, Naveen automation at the rate gmail.com, and or let's see, auto.com, mail active, which is fine. Okay, so what we have URL, we have header, and we have data information. Now I'm going to use the same request module, and then which method we have to call? This time we have to call the post call. It is saying that, okay, what is the URL? Okay, let's supply the URL. Do you have any JSON? Yes, JSON is equal to what? So data variable, I'm going to pass it here. Do you have any headers? Yes, so header is also equal to the headers that we have already created here. Perfect. So JSON is equal to data, headers equal to headers. We have to write it here like this. Now this post method will return what? Again, the post method will return the response. So I'm going to store in the response variable once again. So response is equal to this. And this is the response we have captured. Now the same response, we are going to do what? Because we are going to, first of all, that assert, right? So how will you assert? So simple, I'm going to write assert that from this particular response dot, the status code should be equal to what? 201 in that case, because whenever you are creating a request, I mean creating a user with the post request or post call, we will start getting 201 here. So here I'm checking 201 instead of 200 here. Okay, then after that, whatever the response that we are getting, I really want to fetch same thing in the JSON data, and then converting into the pretty JSON. So I'm just going to write it, this one also over here. After that, see this carefully, because the next request will be the put request. So what I want, whatever the data that I have created, and I'm getting this particular response. So in the response, I'm getting this ID also. Now with the help of this ID, I can use delete call and the put call also. So from the response, I really want to fetch this particular ID as well. So how to fetch this particular ID? First of all, that let's print this particular JSON body also. So let me just copy same line here, that JSON str, we are printing it, right? And now from this particular JSON str, or we can say from the JSON data that we have captured, we are going to fetch the ID. So simple, we are going to write this particular ID key and give me the value. So what is the ID? This, and whatever the value is there, we will fetch it, and then we are going to store it in some variable here. For example, I'm creating the user ID variable like this. So user ID is equal to this. Okay. Then I want to verify some other things as well. That let's say I really want to verify that assert, and I really want to verify that assert name. Okay, in where? Assert name in the JSON data. So I want to verify, let's see, a name also in the JSON data. How will you verify that? Here I'm going to write, let's see, once again, assert whatever the JSON data that we have captured, this JSON data, I'm going to pick this particular name attribute, and then it should be equal to what? It should be equal to the data that we were passing, that name is equal to Naveen automation. So it should be equal to this particular value. So this is my expected value, or this is what the value that we were passing, and this is from the response, it should be matched. So this is the assertion, the second assertion that we have written here. And then we are already printing the JSON body also, which is also fine. Okay, now what I want after that, I just want to return something from here, return the user ID that you have captured, so that whenever someone is calling this particular method, the post request method, it will create a fresh user for us, and then it will return this user ID. And so this user ID, we can use it in the put call and the delete call also here like this. Perfect. So this is also fine. Now we are going to write the put call or put request. So for put request, I'll do one thing from here to here. I'm just going to copy. So let's see, just copy. First, I'll show you in the Postman, and then exactly same thing we will do it over here. Let me change the name. The name I'm writing, instead of post, I'm writing a put request. Or do one thing. Let's see this. Let me just comment it out for time being. Let's see this post is actually working or not. Right? Oh, we are not calling it. So let me just call this. So I'll do one thing. I don't want to call this particular get request. Now I want to call this particular post request. I did not actually call it, so I forgot to call. Let me run it again. So now, yes, awesome. So you can see that, okay, yeah, the JSON response body we have captured. You can cross verify in the Postman that this ID is actually available with the get call or not. So let's see, this ID is there or not. So just paste it here, and then The same database should be able to get here. Yes, the same Naveen Automation, auto.com, or the same user ID, name, ID, and all those things are here as well. It means the data got created here. Perfect. So this is absolutely working fine here. Now we are going to write the put call. So in the put call, what should I do? Put means update the user, right? So put means you have to update the whatever the information that you really want to update, you can update that. So let's see, first of all, the URL will remain same. The only thing is, as a parameter, I'm taking one holding parameter and I'll be passing when I call this put request. I'm saying, okay, you have to give me the user ID that for which user you want to update the information. So I'm going to pass my resource ID or the user ID over here and the same user ID that I'm going to append here. How will you append this? So see this, I'm going to append one forward slash and then curly bracket, the same user ID, I'm going to append it over here. And then after that, I really want a formatted string. So I'm going to write F in Python for the formatted string because these curly braces will behave like a variable now and it will be appended with the users. So just before this, just write symbol F here also. Perfect. Then which information you want to update? So let's see, I really want to update that I want to change my name instead of Naveen Automation. Here I'm writing Naveen Automation Labs and my email ID also I'm writing Naveen Automation Labs auto.com. And let's see the status is inactive, something like this. Okay. So these three information I really want to update. So update is always what? Idempotent. Idempotent means whenever I'm calling this particular API, the entire object will be updated. It will not create a new row in the database. It will not create a new user in my database. The same ID that you are passing, the same ID will be updated and this information will be updated in the database. So it will not create a new entry in the database. So after that, what should I do? After that, the data is ready. We just need to call this API. So how will you call it? Same thing, that request module dot put that we are going to use. So in the put call, what? In the put call that we are going to write, first of all, what is a URL? Okay, take this particular URL. And then do you have any JSON? Yes, the JSON is equal to what? The data. And then do you have any headers? Headers is equal to, yes, headers. Perfect. So header also authentication token that we have to pass. Okay. And then again, it is going to give you the response. The format will remain same. Response is equal to this. And the moment I get this particular response, and from the response, same thing, I really want to do that. So I'll do one thing that the moment I get the response, we will just copy from here and then we will print the response body from here to here. So let's print it here. Before that, if I really want to write an assertion, so we can write an assertion that the response dot status code should be equal to 200 in that case. So here we are getting with the put call also, we are getting 200 OK status code. So same thing I'm writing here as well, that with the put call, 200 status code we are checking, getting the response in the JSON, converting into the pretty JSON and printing it on the console JSON response body. Okay, so I can say that, okay, JSON put response body for our reference in the log. So it will look good. Same thing, I'm writing JSON a post response body. And here I'm writing JSON a get call response body here. That. Okay, so this is the put call is also ready. If I really want to assert anything, that also I can assert it. So what do you want to assert? For example, status code that we have already written. Now I want to assert another thing as well, that once again assert, it means in this particular JSON data, I really want to verify that first of all that give me the ID, and ID should be equal to what? It should be equal to the ID that we have captured. Okay, see the same ID it is giving. So the same ID, the user ID, I can just verify over here. So here I'm writing that, okay, it should be equal to this particular user ID. So that is the first assertion that we have written. Or if you really want to check that email ID and the gender and the status and all other information also, if you really want to verify, you can verify that as well. So let's write one more assertion here. So I changed the name also. So here I'm writing that, okay, the name should be equal to what? It should be equal to Naveen Automation Labs. Same thing, I can check with the status also or inactive also. Okay, let's write only two assertion. That is, I think, more than enough. Okay, so this is also fine. So let's see, is it really working or not? So I'll do one thing. I'm just going to call this with the put call. So put request, I'm going to call it. But see this, when I call the post request, if you see this carefully, When I call this particular post request, post is giving me what? Post is returning the user ID. So I'll do one thing. I'm just going to store in this particular user ID, which is equal to this. And the same user ID, I'm going to pass it to the put call. Okay, so that we can complete the workflow here. Then put request will be called, and I'm passing the user ID over here. The same user ID will be used in the URL and in the assertion also. We can check it here. Okay, let's see this is really working or not. So right click on it, or we can directly execute. Let's see from the terminal. So I'll use terminal because it looks better. It's clearly visible also. So let's simple call this. So first of all that, okay, yeah, the request got created. You can see the data got created, and the same request in the put call, see the URL actually, instead of post URL, I'm going to write, let's see, put URL. Okay, let's run it again. So I'll do one thing that I'm going to use new email ID. So we will pass the dynamic email ID in some time. Let's see, I'm writing Naveen Automation 1 at the rate this one. And now your new email ID is this one. Okay, so let's run it again. Okay, so here you can see the post URL is this. The JSON post response body is this. You can see that a fresh user got created. And in the put call, we are appending the same information here. And then the new, against the same ID, the new data got updated that you were passing. Here you can see that we were passing Naveen Automation Labs. Okay. Then the status is inactive. Perfect. And then the email ID also got updated. So earlier I was having this information. Now I'm having this information for the same user ID. Perfect. So this is also put call absolutely working fine here. Then I really want to write a delete call also. So how will you write a delete call? So in order to write a delete call, understand that whenever you are going to write delete, so let's say I really want to delete this particular user, and then you have to supply the same user ID after the endpoint and then send it. Here, although we don't need any body, so you can just ignore the body part, but here is saying 204 no content, it will delete that particular user. Okay, so this particular user will be deleted. And in the response, I'm not getting any response here. So I don't need to fetch the response. I just need to pass the user ID in the delete URL. And if I'm getting 204, it means my request is absolutely working fine here. So how to do this? So again, pretty simple. So I'm just going to, let's see, copy from here to here. I'll, let's see, from here to here. And then I'll update accordingly. So this is, first of all, a delete request. Okay. This delete request also saying you have to give me the user ID. So we are appending the user ID here. And here I'm writing, let's see, this is my delete URL. Authentication token is required. We don't need to pass any JSON payload, any data. We don't need to supply there. Only header that we have to supply. After header, I just request dot what? I'm going to call this API delete, and then I'm going to supply the URL. And then do you have any JSON? No. Do you have any headers? Yes. Headers is equal to headers. Perfect. Super simple. And then it will give you the response. So I'm going to store in the response object over here. And from this response, quickly, first of all, that I'm going to assert. So assert what? From the response dot, the status code should be equal to what? 204 response code here. Okay. Then JSON, we don't need to use it because it's not giving me any JSON. So we can ignore this particular part. So we don't want to print any JSON. And other than that, if you really want to verify some header or anything, you can just simply say that. Otherwise, that's it. Okay. So we are just expecting that, okay, it should give you the 204 response and that's it. Perfect. And then I'll do one thing after each and every request. We are just printing whatever the API name. So let's say delete a user is done. Okay. Something like this I'm printing so that it will be clearly visible on the console. Okay. So first, let's see, is it really working or not? So I'll do one thing. I'm going to comment it out this put request. I'm going to call my delete API. So a delete request method I'm going to call, and the same user ID I'm going to pass, which I got from the post request. And in the post request, I'll just change the data because right now it will not take the same email ID. So let's say I'm writing Naveen Automation to @auto.com. Okay. And then I'm supplying the same user ID here. And let's see, this user should be deleted after that. So again, go to the terminal. Let me just clear this. Okay. Perfect. So it's saying your delete user is done. And then the user, this time it got created with this ID, with the email ID automation2.com. And now we can cross check if we really want to check with the get call in the postman, is it really there or not? So it should give you the user not available. So resource not found, it should give it to you. So yes, resource not found and the 404 not found is coming. After that, if you really want to write a get call also here, that also you can use it. The same user ID, you can just use it with the get call just to make sure that the user is deleted or not. That also we can do it here. So that you can do it later. Now, I'm going to call all the requests together. Let's see, is it really working or not? And then we will try to optimize a couple of things. So first of all, that get call, then post will give you the user ID. User ID, I'm going to use the same user ID I'm going to use in the put call and the delete call. The only thing is whenever you are doing a post, please make sure that you are passing a new email ID, a fresh email ID. For example, Naveen Automation 3 I'm passing here. And whenever you are updating the information, okay, and then you, let's see, if you really want to update the email, then I'm going to, let's see, writing some different email ID over here. Let's see, a Naveen Automation updated like this. So we will try to optimize this also, but let it be like this and the rest of the things will remain same. Now let's see, is it really working or not? But before that, let's see, after every call, I want to print one more thing here that let's write some equals so that the response will be clearly visible, and do this for this guy also. Okay, get user is done. Perfect. Now save it and then go to the terminal and let's run it. You can run it from here also. You can just open this particular terminal and then you can run it from here as well. So if you want, see, I can show you, you can go to the Python console. From here also you can run it, from here also you can run it, or you can just simply do one thing, right click on it here and run it from here as well. So let's run it from here and see. Nice. So it's absolutely working fine. All the requests you can go and check. This is a get request for all the users. So we are getting the list of number of users, around 10-20 users. We are getting it here, and then get user is done. After that, this is a post call. So we have created a new user ID. See the user ID, and same user ID I'm using it here in the put call. We have updated the information and it's saying that yes, put user ID is also done. And then the same delete user is also used over here in the delete API, the same user ID and delete user is also done. Now see, one important thing here we have to optimize that whenever we are writing the post call. So we are passing the same user ID, or sorry, email ID, and this email ID is not allowed if I create the request with the same email ID. So for example, let's see if I go to the postman and go to the post, and let's see this user is already created with this email ID. If I'm sending it again, it will give you that this email ID is already taken. So every time we have to pass a unique email ID. That's why if you run this particular, let's see, API one more time, it will be failed. So for example, I'll do one thing. This, first of all, this assertion, I don't want to assert it immediately. Get the response from here. And the assert part, let's see, I'm writing it over here. Okay. Now see this, I just want to call this particular post call. So let me just comment it out, these two. Let me comment this get also, and let's see what happens. And I'll do one more thing, that the user ID in the post call, this particular user ID, I really want to print also here. So let's see, I'm just going to use a print the user ID is this user ID. Okay. So I'm going to run it and let's see what happens. So see, I'm going to run it and it's saying that email ID is already taken. So I cannot use this API now because of the data issue, because every time we have to supply the unique email ID. So what we can do that we don't want to update again and again manually here. So what we do, we can just create one random email creation method, which will create the random email ID. And then we will append this particular email ID in the post call here in this particular JSON body. So here I'm writing, let's see, get random email ID. Okay, so this method will do what? So let's create a method. Let's see, method name is, okay. So this is a method name, and what exactly this method will do? So first of all, that I'm going to define that what will be the domain. So hotmail.com, gmail.com, or whatever. So let's see, I'm writing some domain name is automation.com. This one. I don't want to use any Gmail and all those things. So let's see, automation.com. And what is the length of, so I'm going to create one variable also. Let's see, length variable. Email length should be at 10. That is what I'm writing. And now I'm going to create one random string, which is equal to what? Which is equal to, I'm going to use this one and then dot, and then I'm going to write join over here. And join with what? So this random import that we have used, this time I'm going to use this particular random a module, a random dot. So see, there are many methods are there. You can generate the choices and everything, and then you can define the sequence also like this. So I'm saying that, okay, I'm going to write a choice method and what kind of sequence that you want to generate. So I want some, let's see, my email ID should be all ASCII characters without any special characters to make it simple. So here I can use this particular, the string here. So I'm going to write the string module that we are, okay, already imported. And then I'm going to write a string dot, and see there is one method that ASCII lower cases, upper cases, or letters that you can create. So let's say I'm going to use lower cases here. Okay. Once you create the lower case, and then after that, I'm going to write that a particular for, and then underscore in, and then I'm going to give a range over here. So the range will be, let's see, whatever the email length that we have defined up to 10. So let's see, up to this particular, the 10th email length should be there. Okay. Then this will be what? It will give you some random string. And the moment I get my random string, I'm going to use this random string to create my email. So whatever the random string that we have created, and then I'm going to write with the plus, with @ plus whatever the domain that we have created here. So whatever the random string it will give, @automation.com, it will create. Okay, so once this email is ready, I'm just going to return this particular email from here. So return is important because whenever I'm going to call this method, it will return the email, random email. And now I'll go to my post call, and then I don't need to use this particular hard-coded value. So remove this completely from here and then call this method. Same thing if I really want to use in the put call also, remove this hard-coded value from the email and then call this method from here. And in delete, I don't need this. So let it be like that. Okay, so now let me just check the post request is really working or not. Is it really creating the user with the random emails? Okay, it looks good, but some type error we are getting. But see the response body we are getting. And here you can see, yes, the user ID got created with the random email ID. Can you check that here? This one. Meanwhile, we will check that, okay, yeah, we can print with the comma here. Okay, let's try one more time. Okay, perfect. So this is perfectly working fine now. And the user ID is equal to this. Now I want to call this entire script and with all the calls. So remove this comment, and then for delete also, and then for the get also. Let's run it now. Okay, it's perfect and nice. So it's absolutely working fine without any problem. And you can go and cross check that. Okay, yeah, see, with the post call first, we will see that here the ID is generated with the unique email ID. And then the same user ID is available here with the put call. Here you can see appended with the URL. And we are actually updating the new email ID. We have updated the name also. And we have updated the status that is inactive. But the ID will remain same. Same thing with the delete call. So delete call, again, the same ID we are using. And it's absolutely working fine. Now we can cross check from the terminal also. Let me just clear the console and let's run it from here. Now you run this API, all these set of APIs, run it. It will always work fine. It will always generate the unique data. Can you see unique email ID is getting generated here? Let's run it again. Absolutely working fine. Nice. You can go and check in the Postman, fetch all the different users. Sorry, in the get call, fetch all the different users and let's see what happens. So here you can see that recently we created so many user IDs, users. this one Naveen Automation, this one also, this one also, this one, and then see all are getting updated over here. Perfect. So we are getting absolutely right information from here. So you can also try it. It's pretty simple in Python. You don't need to worry about much things. Simple request module, you have to use it, and some extra modules like JSON string random for the JSON used for the pretty format string we are using in the string manipulations here to generate the random strings, and random also we are using to generate the choices for the random strings. And that's it. Later on, if you really want to modify other things, if you don't want to maintain this particular authentication token here right now, this is hardcoded. You can just call the separate auth API and generate the token here and then use the token in your APIs. Okay, in the authorization, you can maintain these files in your configurations also, or I mean these parameters in separate configuration or separate file also. That is when you design the framework, that is up to there. Okay, so looks absolutely good. And that's all for this particular video. I hope you like it. I'll push this code in my Git repository. And from there, you can just pick it. The repository URL I'll share in the description. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching Naveen Automation Labs. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and God bless you all.